Let's start with the third chapter of your fourth module, that is Introduction to Data Link Layer. First, we'll see about the data link layer. Data link layer is located between physical layer and network layer. And data link layer will provide a services to network layer and it receives the service from physical layer. Already you know that services flows from bottom to top. Hence, data link layer will take the service from the bottom layer called physical layer and gives the service to its above layer called network layer. And data link layer is responsible for node to node communication. We'll explain the data link layer by considering the below diagram, that is the below scenario. You can just see the diagram here. There are two persons, Alice and Bob. Alice's computer is a source computer, whereas Bob's computer is the destination computer. This scenario explains about the communication between these two end devices, the end devices of Alice and end devices of Bob using data link layer. You leave this diagram, just observe these things. According to the diagram, data link layer at the Alice computer communicates with data link layer of the router R2. Data link layer of the router R2 communicates with data link layer of the router R4. Data link layer of the router R4 communicates with data link layer of the router R5, so on. And finally, data link layer of the R7 communicates with data link layer of the Bob's computer. One thing that you can observe is the source computer and destination computer communicates using only one data link layer because Alice's computer is connected to only one network, whereas Bob's computer is connected to only one network. But the routers are having two data link layers because router takes the input from one network and it gives the output to another network. You can just observe R2 takes the input from Ali's network and R7 gives the output to Bob's network. Since the routers are involving two different networks, two data links are required at the router side, whereas only one data link layer is required at the source and destination side. Now, we'll see about the next concept. The next concept is encapsulation and decapsulation process at DLL. So before moving with the actual diagram, first let me explain how the encapsulation and decapsulation takes place at data link layer. Source node is responsible for only encapsulation and data link layer of the destination node is responsible only for the decapsulation, but the intermediate nodes called routers are responsible for both encapsulation and decapsulation. Now, before the diagram, let us understand the concept using some example or some scenario. Let us assume there is a person A who is living at one city and he want to communicate with his friend B who is staying at another city. Now there are two cities. In one city A is staying and another city B is staying, and both these persons want to communicate. Now we'll see the procedure how the communication happens. Person A want to communicate with B, or to go for B city he needs to travel using a train. Now the train station of his area is bit far from his house. So what A will does? A first book a taxi. Let us assume that as a taxi 1. Then from taxi 1 he moves to train station of his own area. Then A travels in a train and reach the B's city. But again, B's home is bit far from the train station of B city. Hence again A has to take another taxi, we'll call it as a taxi 2, to reach the B's home. Now just observe what A did. Initially A took a taxi 1 from his city. So we'll consider the taxi 1 as one intermediate node. From taxi 1, he get down at the train station 1 of his area. Now that train station is also, or that train is also considered as intermediate node. Then from that train, after getting out, he took another taxi, that is taxi 2, which is intermediate device. Then from that taxi 2, he get down at the B's home. So this is the procedure, get in and get down. So the get in is considered as encapsulation, where get out from the intermediate nodes is considered as decapsulation. A's home is the source and B's home is the destination. Two taxis and train are considered as intermediates. Now the same thing is explained using this diagram. Just observe the diagram. In the diagram, we have only one source, one destination, and only one router. Now we'll see. Initially, the source, what it does, it receives the datagram by the network layer. Then, for this datagram, data link layer will attach its own header. Then it will make a datagram as a frame. That frame is logically transferred to the data link layer of the router. You can just see here 2 and datagram. So that 2 is nothing but the data link header. For that header, the datagram from the network layer has been attached. So 2 and datagram will form the frame. This frame is of the type 1, that is logically transformed to data link layer of the router. Dotted line represent the logical link, solid line represent the actual link. Now, at the router, what happens? At the router, the frame received is decapsulated, and again another data link layer of the router will encapsulate it into another frame, where in another frame it contains the address of link layer address, whereas in the first frame it contains the address of source and destination. Now you can just observe from the second data link layer of the router, the frame is formed and that frame is logically transferred to destination's data link layer. At a destination's data link layer, decapsulation takes place. Meaning of decapsulation is datagram is decapsulated, or it is removed, or it is extracted from the frame, and that datagram is sent to the network layer. This is the procedure. You can just observe at the source encapsulation takes place, at the destination decapsulation takes place, and at the router encapsulation and decapsulation takes place. Now we'll move to next topic. The next topic of this chapter is services of data link layer. There are 4 services of data link layer: framing, flow control, error control, and congestion control. We'll see one by one. You can just observe the first one is framing. To study the framing, let us see this diagram. We have the sending machine, we have the receiving machine. So there are 2 levels. The first level is nothing but the network layer. The second level is nothing but the data link layer. Now at the sending machine, data link layer of the sending machine will receive the packet from the network layer. That packet is moved into the field called payload field. So packet, payload, message, data, everything is same. Now for that payload field, header and trailers are attached. When header and trailers are attached to the packet or payload, we call it as frame. So at the network layer, datagram will be there or packet will be there. When it is sent to data link layer, that packet or the datagram is made as frame by attaching header and trailer. Now that frame is sent to receiver's data link layer. At the receiver's data link layer, from the frame only the packet is extracted. We can call it as decapsulation process. Now converting the packet to frame, it is nothing but framing. It is the first service of DLL. We'll move with the second service of DLL, that is flow control. First let us see what you mean by flow control. The process of managing the rate of data transmission between two nodes to prevent a fast sender over or the fast sender from the overloading or overwhelming a slow receiver is known as flow control. Once again listen, process of managing rate of transmission between two nodes to prevent a fast sender from overwhelming a slow receiver. The meaning is to avoid the receiver from overloading of the frames. We have the service called flow control, and this flow control will prevent the receiver from overloading. You can just observe this diagram. Flow control is explained by taking the example of producer and consumer. At the sending node, data link layer is considered as producer. Data link layer of the receiving node is considered as consumer. Now, if producer produces more frames then the capacity of the consumer can consume, then what will happen? There will be a loss of items or the loss of frames. To avoid this loss of frames, we have the service called flow control. In flow control, what happens? Receiver node will send a feedback to the sender node. You can just observe the feedback line which is written as a flow control. So, which type of feedback the receiver will send? Receiver will send a feedback to the sender node by saying that receiver is unable to process the frames, hence sender can slow down the transmission rate. This is how the flow control is done. Now, the third service we have is error control. The meaning of the error control is both the error detection and error correction. Now we'll see why the error control is required. Whenever the data is transmitting in the form of bits, the 0 can be changed to 1 or 1 can be changed to 0. In such a case, error control is necessary. Similarly, at the physical layer, when the data is transmitting in terms of the electrical signals, there can be attenuation or noise at the signals. To avoid this, error control is required. Now, as a last function, we have the congestion control. When too many sources are sending too much of data too fast for a network to handle, congestion occurs. That is, it occurs when load on the network is more than the network capacity. To overcome this, we require congestion control. Now, we'll see the next topic, that is two categories of data link layer. Data link layer is again divided into two sublayer. The first one is, or upper sublayer is data link control sublayer. Lower sublayer is media access resolution or media access control. You can just observe the two diagrams and read the statement below the two diagrams. In diagram A, we have written it as data link layer of broadcast link. In diagram B, we have written it as data link layer of point-to-point link. The meaning is data link control sublayer is responsible to solve the issues related to point-to-point, whereas media access control sublayer is responsible to solve the issues related to both point-to-point as well as broadcast. Hence, the diagram is so. Now, we'll see the next topic. The next topic is link layer addressing. In link layer address, we mainly have three types of addresses: unicast address, multicast address and broadcast address. So before studying these addresses, first let us study why we require link layer addressing. The solution is, when two end devices communicate using the internet, only IP addresses is not necessary. Along with the IP addresses, we also require link layer addresses for communication. We'll see how. When sender sends some data to the receiver through the internet, in the internet, the networks are connected using the routers. So, the responsibility of router is to route the packet using the different route. Whenever we have the different routes, to define the link or a root address, we require link layer addresses. So link layer addresses are addresses of the roots or addresses of the links. Thus, link layer addresses are defined by link layer protocols. Those link layer protocols have defined three types of addresses for the link layer addressing. Those three types are unicast, multicast and broadcast. Now we'll see one by one. First we'll see the first one, unicast addressing. Meaning of unicast is nothing but one. So unicast addressing stands for one-to-one communication. We'll explain the unicast addressing using this diagram. You can just observe there are two networks, network A and network B. Network A is again made up of several host or node. Those circles, you can call them as a node or host. One of the circle is named as M1. In the network B, one of the host or the node is named as M2. And network address is given as 90.0.0.0 and network B address is given as 92.0.0.0. This is just an assumption. Now, when host of the network A want to communicate with host of the network B, we use unicast addressing. That is, when M1 want to communicate with the M2, M1 belongs to network A, M2 belongs to network B. In such a case, unicast addressing is used. Now, before studying multicast, first we'll see about the broadcast addressing. Meaning of broadcast addressing is one to all. You can just observe the diagram. When M1, that is host of the network A, want to communicate with all the hosts of the network A itself, then we call it as limited broadcast addressing. When M1 want to communicate with all the nodes of network A, limited broadcasting. If M1 want to communicate with all the nodes of network B, then we call it as direct broadcast addressing. So whenever we have limited broadcast addressing, then the 90.0.0.0 address is changed to 255.255.255.255. The meaning of 255 is nothing but all ones. In the direct broadcast addressing, what we have done, we have just changed the address to 92.255.255.255 because M1 want to communicate with all the nodes of network B, where network B address is identified by 92, hence 92 dot with all ones. In the same manner, if M2 want to communicate with all the nodes of M1, then address of M1 would be changed to 90.255.255.255. Now don't worry much about the addresses, we'll study it in the next chapter. Similarly, next thing we have is multicast address, which stands for one to many. So multicast address is again the part of broadcast address itself. But in multicast address, one host can communicate with group of hosts. So group is main focus in the multicast. To communicate with a group, it uses the protocol called IGMP, Internet Group Message Protocol. Now, let us take the real-time examples. Your WhatsApp groups like 4th A group, 4th B group. When we want to communicate with the WhatsApp groups, it is belong to multicast addressing. And your news channels of the television, the same news will be broadcasted everywhere. Hence it belongs to broadcast addressing. If I want to put a private message to one of you, then that private message between you and me belongs to unicast addressing. So this is the concept of link layer addressing.